All right, hey guys. Our last lesson that we did was fractions to percents, so we're going to do the opposite of that today. If you recall from fractions to percents, we were multiplying by 100, so we were moving our decimal to the right 2 times. Today we're going to do the opposite. We're going to move to the left 2 times for our changing our percents to fractions. So we'll start nice and basic here. If we have 83%. 83 becomes technically a whole number within this, even though it is not, because a whole number would be 100% because you'd have one entire whole 1% or 100% of it. So for this, our decimal is going to be right there. Okay, it's since 83 turns into our whole number, our percent is at the end of it, and so we have 83 right there. We're going to move the decimal to the left 2 times because we are technically dividing by 100. And so there's those 2 zeros there in 100. And so we're going to move our decimal 2 times to the left to get here. So with this, our, let's see, sorry, I'm thinking here. We have 83. And then because that's in the hundreds place, we have 83 hundredths. We're going to take that away and do 83 100ths. Okay, so 83% is 83 100ths because out of that 100%, we are using 83 of those. So that's how that is going to work. Okay, so figure out where that decimal is, move it 2 times to the left when you're going percents to fractions, or even if it leaves it at the decimal. But today we're just going from percents to fractions, because if it's the decimal, then it makes it really easy. So again, we'll do same type of problem. If we have 37%, again, you're essentially dividing by 100. And so our decimal starts there at the end of our 37. We are going to move it left 2 times. And this is why, again, why I say we're dealing with 100ths and dividing by 100ths, because if we were to write this, when we write this as our fraction, we have 37 hundredths. And if you remember, right here, that fraction or that fraction bar is our division sign. And so we could, these fractions, decimals, and percents always work together. Okay, so there's our 2 basic ones to start with. So as I told you last time, I'm going to go fast. Use the pause button. Okay, slow down, look at these problems, go through them, get them written down in a notebook of some kind so you have them. I know for us, we've done these a lot, so they are review. One that, while we were in class, can throw people off. If you have 9%, okay, our decimal is still going to be here for our 9. Okay, make it a little bigger so you can see it on the screen there. So we have 9%. Decimal, or from fraction to decimal, and then to, or sorry, fraction or percent to decimal, and then to our fraction. Decimal still starts here. Okay, 9. There's no decimal showing, so it goes at the end. It goes furthest to the right. We're still dividing by 100, so the decimal moves 2 times. You have an empty spot. Fill in your 0. Okay, so you have, if we look at this, we have 9 tenths, hundredths, so you have 9 hundredths. So it's still not changing it. We're still out of 100 when we're looking at these. Okay. Next one is where it's going to change. This one is the other one that can kind of throw us for a loop. And we have to be careful with these. The biggest thing to remember, decimal, when we're going percent to fraction, decimal moves 2 times to the left, and then we can figure out our fraction, or in this case right here, we're going to have a mixed number. Decimal starts here. We're at the very end of it. There's no decimal in this number, so we're putting it at the very end. We're dividing by 100, so we're going to come back 2 times to the left. So if we look at this, this is the decimal number that we end up with. Easiest way to do this, how would you say this number? Okay. You have 1 and 32 hundredths, tenths, hundredths. 1 and 32 hundredths. So 1 and 32 hundredths. Okay. Again, this is the one that throws us off because sometimes we forget this whole number. Can't forget the whole number. You have to have that whole number in there. Changes absolutely everything. Okay. One more of those. We'll do an even bigger one with the same thing, with having greater than 100%. So if we say we have 205%, we're still going to go through the exact same process. There's no decimal here, so it comes at the very end. Dividing by 100, decimal moves to the left 2 times. So here's what the decimal number looks like. And again, think of it. How would you say that number? 2 and there's tenths, there's hundredths. So we have 2 and 5 hundredths. Okay. And as you can tell for this lesson, I'm not worried about reducing. I'm not asking you to reduce. We're doing the very basics of this. So stick with whatever it gives you. So we're still moving the decimal 2 times to the left because you're dividing by that 100. Next one you're not going to see very often, but I am going to put it on your assignment. Okay. If we have 0.5%, super small number, almost nothing. Here's our decimal. It's already here. We don't need to add one in. Still following the same rules. We're dividing by 100. That is going to move 2 times to the left. So now when we have our decimal number, it's going to look like that. Okay. We have to know our place values. Here's our decimal. So we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths for that. So we're going to have 5 thousandths. And simplest way to explain it, decimal moves 2 times to the left, and we get to our 5 thousandths from 0.5%, half of a percent, next to nothing, but it's still there. So we have to do the math with it. Okay. Let's keep it with 3.2%. 3.2%. Again, the decimal's already there, so we don't need to add one in. Divide it by 100. That decimal is going to move to the left 2 times for those 2 zeros that are in there. So if we write our decimal number, we're going to have our decimal, fill in that 0. So we're going to have decimal 0, 3, 2. Again, know your place values. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. We're going to have 32 thousandths. Okay. So there is the basics of percents to fractions. When we're going percents to fractions, we are getting that decimal wherever it's at, and we're dividing by 100 because here's our division. Okay, here's the division. So we're dividing by 100, and we move that decimal 2 times to the left. Okay. Your homework will be up on Google Classroom, and hopefully it is working properly for us so we don't have as many issues with getting it submitted. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. Have a good one.